Hello and welcome to the 13th Regulators and Policymakers Retreat being organized by IPPAI here in Goa. And this is day two of the event, and with me I have the Honorable former Election Commissioner, Chief Election Commissioner of India, the biggest democracy in the world, so to say, and so that's quite a distinction. Mr. Quraishi sir, welcome to the retreat. And so we'd like to know the fact that India is the largest democracy in the world in terms of sheer electorate size. The fact that we managed to bring out our results on time and they're seen as very credible as compared to other nations in the neighborhood, sir. What do you think really contributes to this immense pillar of strength that we have?
I think the creation of Election Commission of India by the Constitution was a landmark. Uh, the wisdom of the framers of the Constitution needs to be saluted. They created a fiercely autonomous institution, independent institution with all the power. And the independence which the Commission enjoys and the power which has been given through the acts and by judicial pronouncements, all of them have contributed to a very good and strong institution coming into being. And then I think the cooperation of political parties, participation of the people, participation of the media, all these factors made the Election Commission of India probably the most powerful commission in the world.
So the fact that at one point of time when there was a controversial US election about shared ballots and ballots that were not counted because they were dimpled but not gone one way or the other. The example that was taken was that the US is looking at India with its electronic voting machines, and that is an interesting thing. So do you think that the role of IT and electronic machines has really made a difference to the Indian election system?
Oh yes, indeed. India is probably the first country which introduced electronic voting in the entire country. From 2000, we have been conducting all elections and with the electronic voting machine. The, it took about 30 years for the machine to get introduced. It was thought of in 1977. Then some pilot tests were done. After that, it went into litigation. Then the Supreme Court said that yes, we must have a law because there was no mention of EVM in the law. And by the time the law was passed, it was already 1990s. But from 98 and 2000 onwards, every state election was conducted with the EVM. 2004 was the first national election which was conducted with the EVMs, and after that there has been no looking back. You're right, after the Florida fiasco, the famous episode, lots of Americans tell us, of course, jokingly, that Indian Election Commission should conduct their election. We think we have every reason to be proud of our system, considering the sheer size, 750 million voters, which adds up to more than voters of all 50 countries of Europe put together, plus all 40 of North America, or the entire Africa continent. At the same time, by lunchtime, the nation knows the result. Partly it is because of the electronic voting machine. In fact, it's very substantially. Otherwise, counting used to take 1 day, 2 days, 3 days sometimes. And if there was a recount, then as much more time more. But this has been a revolutionary innovation.
So in recent years, we've seen that the electoral process has become a lot cleaner. You have lesser allegations of booth capturing, something that used to have, say, 20 years back. What has been the role of coordination and the law enforcement agencies in working together with the Chief Election Commissioner and the Election Commissioner?
Booth capturing actually is history. It's impossible for any political party or candidate to capture a booth. Earlier, they would send their gundas and they will just forcibly they occupy the polling station and then start stamping the ballot papers. But we have become wiser over the years. The enforcement machinery, the law and order, deployment of right staff, right officers, anybody whose neutrality is suspect, we change them immediately. And then we even deploy the Central Armed Police Force or paramilitary force, as it is known, to ensure that the gundas do not have a free run. After all that, if somebody is able to capture the booth, we order a repoll. So the entire effort comes to a naught. So that is the ultimate weapon. As a result, booth capturing is now history. But that doesn't mean that all problems have been sorted out. We still have the problem of money power. That's a major issue with us. Not only the money which is spent upfront and legally, there is a legal ceiling of 40 lakhs for Lok Sabha and 16 lakhs for Vidhan Sabha. But the black money which is used, crores, that is our biggest problem. And because of that, I think election has become the biggest source of corruption in the country. Because if a candidate spends 5 or 10 crores to win his election and he becomes a minister or MLA or whatever, he wants to recover his money to repay and then that is where the nexus between politician and bureaucracy begins. If the officers are asked to contribute to the kitty and in the process pocket what they can, that nexus has to be broken. We feel that money power is playing havoc with the system.
So what can be the way out? Should the election, the amount that one can spend be revised upwards? Should it be more, maybe someone can finance it, maybe a bank can finance it, and there should be a way to repay the whole thing? What can be the way forward?
You are right. This issue has been raised about the expenditure ceiling being rational or not. The people say that the limit has been irrational, and we need to make it more realistic and increase it. And 2 years ago, we recommended to the government to enhance the limit. From 10 lakhs, it became 16 lakhs for Vidhan Sabha. But then our experience after the election proved otherwise. Now that you could spend up to 16 lakhs, but what is it that the winning candidates reported? Just 50% of the ceiling which was allowed to them. Some said they had not done a single public meeting, they had not hired a single car, they spent just 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs. Now, then in that context, talking of rationalization becomes meaningless. Now, if you talk of rationalization, we will not make it from 16 to 60 lakhs. We'll make it from 16 to 6 lakhs because that is what you're actually reporting as your expenditure. You know, but the fact is that a lot more is being spent, but that is all black money. Sometimes the suggestion is made that there should be state funding. I think that is your reference also. But we feel state funding will not take care of the black money. State funding can be to the extent of the legally allowed expenditure. So, but that is not what they are bothered about. We can't do state funding to pay for paid news. We cannot use state funding to bribe the voters. So it is basically that issue which has to be handled separately.
So another problem that has come to light and been discussed in recent times is a lot of the people who are elected into the legislatures or into the bodies of parliament, many of them have large, criminal sheets and histories of litigation against them for acts of, violence, violent crimes as well. How do we ensure that something like this is, rooted out?
Yes, in fact, that's one of the major concerns that we have, that people with serious criminal cases pending against them get elected. And we have been demanding for the last 15, 20 years that such people should be debarred from contesting, even during the pendency of the case. After conviction, they get debarred anyway. But during trial, because if the trial continues for 15, 20 years, a rapist will continue to rape. And in fact, if he comes to power, he will have all the power to commit his crime. So our proposal has been to debar such people against whom serious cases. The answer which we get from political parties is that there is a risk that our rivals will file false cases, for which we have suggested 3 safeguards. One, that we will only deal with very serious, heinous offences like rape, dacoity, murder, kidnapping, etc. We will ignore the issues like law violation of Section 44 or somebody slapping somebody or somebody abusing somebody. The small cases can be left out of our purview, but at least serious, heinous offences. Secondly, the case should have been registered at least 6 months before election. And third and most important safeguard is that a court of law should have framed the charges. The court of law is independent. If they have applied independent mind and have framed the charges, at least at that stage, the such candidates should be debarred from contesting.
So finally, what is your vision for the growth of a democratic, secular and inclusive India?
Well, we would like to ensure that every eligible voter is on the roll and every voter comes out and votes honestly. And the voters should elect a good candidate. I think that will take care of some of the problem. Because with low turnout, the quality of representative is also likely to be not so good. But if 90% people or 95% people come out and vote for a good candidate, I'm sure the quality of winners will change drastically.
Taking this point ahead, sir, is it possible to have internet voting? You know, people now with their UID and whatever cards being developed, is it possible to legitimize or have a law for internet voting where people can vote and not come out of their homes? Is that a foreseeable thing?
No, no. Although we are an IT superpower, technologically it's a child's play, but we will not go for it for the simple reason that for two reasons. One, that on a poll day you are given a full paid holiday. If you cannot take the trouble of going to the polling station within a kilometer or two, so you have no right to demand anything else. Secondly, and more important issue is that we are also bothered about your safety and also your integrity. Uh, as it is, and the polling station, where we talked about protecting them with the forces. If somebody comes to your house, puts a gun here and vote for me, how will we protect you? Or conversely, somebody comes and gives you an envelope, okay, here is the money, vote for me. How will we stop you? So it's your security and your integrity, both are our concerns. So which is why we do not foresee internet voting happening in the near future.
And is the army allowed to vote while in deployment in various remote
But
locations?
so they are allowed postal ballots and more than postal ballot, because we have only 13 days in which the ballot has to be sent to them, each soldier, and has to be returned before the counting. Many times in 13 days it's not possible to get those ballot papers back. So as a result, the turnout has been only 5-10%. So some years ago, we changed the rule. We have also allowed proxy voting, that you can authorize anybody, your family, your relation, your friend, anyone, to vote on your behalf. That will take care of this low turnout of the service personnel from voting.
Thank you so much, sir, and have a wonderful time with the retreat.
Thank you very much. Thank
Sure, sir.
you.